All right, I hit the button for episode 91. So this is going to be the dawning begins, kind of leading into winter break of Bungie and kind of what we're going to be doing over this like winter hiatus, what we've done so far in the season and what we're looking forward to doing in this season, activities, and some Iron Banner stuff to look forward to. Um, it's pretty sad that already that we're looking like scraping people, still scraping to get 6 people to do a raid. As usually it's not just like we mentioned lots of people, and the response is like, oh, gotta go do this, or just hopping on for a bit, and then I mean people are busy this time of year, but yep, I'm sure other people are
Yeah,
having this kind of pain.
yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but it is the holiday season.
Like we're having our after work party thing tomorrow, so other people doing that, doing last
Right.
minute shopping. God forbid if you
Yeah.
have kids, you're even 4 times as more busy than that.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. Have you are you staying sober at your work party, or are you gonna drink?
Oh, it's at a bar, so
Okay. I just wonder. There's always one person that goes too far, you know.
yeah,
Oh,
it's kind of like our subgroup. It's just our
okay.
new model group that I know of that's going. So looking at like 8 to 10 people, and I don't know. There's a couple of them that's like, oh, I don't drink anymore, and they're like 60 something, about to retire. And I was like, oh, doctor said I shouldn't drink anymore. I just every now and then have a drink. So, but then me and this one guy, we both get after it with bourbon and IPAs and stuff. So we'll probably definitely have a few.
And I here you moved away, but here back home, I catch a lot of heat for drinking IPAs, man. Like
Oh yeah.
there'll be some sort of video like
Oh.
on social media, people
Mm-hmm.
making fun of people that drink IPAs,
Oh
and I
yeah.
get
Yeah.
tagged in all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, the Portsmouth Brewery makes a great IPA,
Yeah,
and
they
it's not that
people
high IBU.
yeah, people I don't know. People don't understand that, you know. I mean, if we really want to start drinking Bud Lights or Coors Lights, I can put them under on those too.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like I'm not too good to drink that, but
I am.
yeah, I know you are. That's at West Coast. That's at West Coast coming out of him there, guys.
I mean, like, I'm just saying, if I want to drink water, it's free.
True.
Listen, Coors Light. If you're listening, I will sell out. I will dress like a Blue Mountain every podcast.
Yeah.
I'll even drink one on stream.
drink-
I will drink it.
Yeah. Of course.
Every episode.
Coors Light's pretty good when it comes to the.
Dude, if we're
the cheaper
sponsored,
beers.
yeah, I will have a can every podcast. I'll just
Mhm.
Now,
Let's
listen,
be
if
like
we're
this.
getting
All right,
sponsored,
before
if
we
we're
start
getting
the
sponsored,
lore-
they're sending us aluminum bottles. if we're getting
No,
sponsored,
yeah,
It's
yeah.
the
The
No, those are nice
royal
too.
silver bullets. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen, I'm
6
even
weeks
down
in, you're
for,
like, Chad, that dent on that bottle is the same as the one from last week.
yeah. Chad,
Nah,
Chad,
man,
why is your
you heard
bottle?
me crack it
Why is your
open.
bottle faded?
I'm gonna have to like crack it open on the mic so you guys hear it. See, it's new. It's new, man. I swear.
Oh man, I had so what would be the easiest way to say this? Like reimbursement is changing for like home health, right? So I had to sit through training, like 4 hours of like computer module training of like a monotone voice today of all the changes, and dude, it about
awesome.
killed me. About
Well,
killed
that's
me.
always wonderful.
Yeah, that's the worst.
All right.
Whenever like they're not actually giving you a training, they're just playing a video.
Yeah. And it was one of those deals. They knew that it like everybody did it individually, but they knew that you needed to be there 4 hours to get through all of it, so you couldn't like fast forward through each slide or whatever.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I could have done it in like 25 or 30 minutes. I could have had it all pretty well wiped out. Sit through an hour module, take a 10-question quiz, score a 90, unlimited retakes. Could have been quick, but oh well. We ready to get started?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do one last thing. Sorry.
Everybody got squiggles.
Oh yeah, I got squiggles. I'll be right back.
We get the theme music popped in here real fast. Shout out Link. I almost sent him an invite the other day to play.
Oh yeah. He went to it's like in school or something, right?
Yeah. Yep. He's getting somewhat famous. Like he seems to be putting a lot of stuff out for people way bigger than us.
He was doing it. He was doing stuff for Miss Kenner.
Yeah, Miss Kenner or Katie Cat. One
okay.
of them. I was thinking, do we stick with the same theme, or do we try to hit him up before Lightfall and get some sort of like syntho pop theme to go with Lightfall?
That'd be pretty good.
Maybe would episode 100 line up pretty good with that? It probably would, wouldn't it?
What 91? So
I mean, it had like 9 weeks. Yeah, that should halfway decent.
10. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be February when we get episode 100.
Chad's chair looks very lightweight and breathable.
Yeah. Probably has a fan or two installed underneath of it.
Yeah, just to blow air up his ass.
Yeah. Which sounds like a good idea. Like, I'm surprised they haven't started making chairs like that. But I guess the issue is the cord with the rolly chair.
Yeah, the bad part is with him, it comes right out of his mouth after it goes up his ass.
I guess that you can make, it'd probably break pretty fast, but like the platform that a chair is on to be like the wireless charging like Apple Watch and stuff is. But, yeah.
All right. Chadocero is good. Wait, let me. Yeah, no, I'm good.
All right, click on the button. Eyes up, Guardians. We are live for episode 91 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is December the 15th. I am the Destiny bad boy, NotRyanFox, here with my fire team, who all of you CCBs know by now. Jared.
Yeah, some of us are just like time tellers, I guess, and we can just tell when something's going to happen with a certain amount of time, and you'll find out later how I was correct.
That should be interesting. And the chronicler himself, chadocero.
I'm just here for the ride. It's gonna be fun.
Remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, that you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, click the bell, turn on notifications, yada, yada, yada. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Send us Sprungy friend requests so we can play games together. We've definitely been needing to add to the roster here. And as far as the TWAB goes that came out today, we had some fresh meat. Bruno in there delivering that for us. But before we get to that, We're going to listen to the intro music for the show from everybody's favorite Wink, who you can find on Twitter at Wink of Time G.
All right, everyone. This TWAB is going to be the last TWAB for this year, and the next one is coming up in January, January 12th. So this TWAB's got a few things here or there that is going on in Destiny. So we talked about last week, but there was a new Lightfall trailer that aired during the Game Awards. And also on Tuesday, it is time to start. As of Tuesday, it's time to start baking cookies again for the Dawning. And along with the 3 other armor sets we just got the drop at the start of the season, we also now have the Dawning ornament armor set dropping. So before we move on, Fox, how are you going about getting all your Warlock ornaments this season?
Yeah, we had this conversation Tuesday, and I don't know if you guys just hadn't really thought about it yet, or what it was, but man, it's a hard life out here for everybody that likes to buy all these armor ornaments. So the seasonal ornaments are $15. The Dawning ornaments are $15, and then the Ubisoft Ash Creed crossover ornaments are $20 worth of silver. So you got $50. Plus, I don't know, man. $50 for all the ornament sets whenever it's been like a steady 15. And then previously, like in some of the other events, you could spend, I'm thinking of the one where you get like the glows, whatever that one is. You could buy those for like 6,000 bright dust or something. You could buy like the full set of armor with those. So they're taking that away. I guess the $100 or so that we pay to play this game every year is just not enough. So they're just going to start nickel and dime and everything. So it should be fun. I do say, even though that was a little bit of a cheap shot, I would prefer it be ornaments as opposed to weapons or something like that. So at least it's still cosmetics.
Mm-hmm. Chad, with this Dawning, we got a new Stasis pulse rifle, and some other cosmetics that go with some ornaments, Fetch Mythic class, and the trace rifle from
Augur Scepter.
There we go.
For sure.
Have you picked any of those up?
Well, obviously I got the Pulse, and Amalon is still my favorite foundry. So, I enjoy the Amalon Pulses very much, even though they're not good. But it feels good. The perks that they added to it are definitely neat. So it's cool to have. Not anything. It's if you want to keep it in the vault, it's gonna be get a roll that you like and throw it in the vault for if you want to use it one day kind of weapon. It is nice that they added a I don't really pay attention to the Dawning ornaments for the armor because I'm not a big Christmassy kind of guy. The ghost ornaments do make me laugh sometimes, like the Nutcracker ghost.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that. And the fact that you can now like save up your legendary presents, and once you buy the correct I don't want to say buffs for Ava, but the correct upgrades, you can actually focus them to a particular weapon. At first you can focus them to like 2 separate groups of weapons, and then you can focus them on a particular weapon. So I equipped the ornament. beginning of the dawning, I'm like, how many cookies am I at? Because I want to see if I can get the glacioclasm that I want before, before a particular number. And I'm like, man, all these years of the dawning, I'm at 760 something cookies, and I still don't have a glacioclasm that I like. So I'm gonna see if I can hit 1,000 or get it before I hit 1,000, because that'll. I'm not baking another cookie after that. I don't know, man. Like, if I don't get it within 1,000, I'm gonna be upset.
That pulse rifle, that's what? Stay Frosty? Is that the name of it or something like that?
Yeah. The stasis. It can get headstone, which is fun.
Yeah. I actually got a halfway decent roll, like the one they give you for like the quest ups. But let's be honest, that gun is solely for the times that you're doing bounties and you need like pulse rifle kills, stasis kills, and precision kills. Like it's just the one weapon you put on to use for that.
We got another stasis pulse coming up later in an episode of Weapons Breakdown. All right, so that's kind of it for the dawning. I mean, you get to throw snowballs, and you got if you purchase the event ticket, you need to go do the challenge triumphs for Ava in order to complete the event pass. So I think that's $10, and there's supposedly it's a decent shader according to Twitter that you get, but I don't think I'm spending that $10 on that.
Hey, quick question with the dawning stuff. Are you guys kind of over? I guess 2 questions. Are you over the event? Like next year, does it need to be something different? And is it still, if you buy? I remember before you used to be able to buy bounties that were like deliver this cookie to this person. Do those still exist? Because that would be a pretty good way to power level towards the end of the event to complete bounties.
I think giving a cookie to the right person gives you a little XP, and then the presents do too. I think I can't remember, but I think I was talking to you guys about this. This particular event, the timing of it goes really well, and this is going to be something that's going to happen next year also because of the release dates and the timing of the seasons happening. But it goes really well at the beginning-ish of the season because people are busy already playing stuff. So like we're playing story, we're playing the heists, we're playing stuff to grind pinnacles with friends, and we're getting all this stuff done, which is dropping materials. We don't need to equip specific things. We don't need to be in a particular playlist. We don't need to take stuff and go into another playlist to play it to do the event. This is a solely play the game, and then when you have like a spare 20 minutes where you're just sitting, you can bake a bunch of cookies and give them to Vuvuzela, and he'll get fat, and we'll all be happy. So it actually ends up being very good timing this year because we're all actually playing the game a lot. Like when it ends up at the end of a season, you're like, dang it, now I need to find something to grind so that I get material to bake cookies. Yeah. But this year it's like, cool, I can basically ignore it until like Sunday, the end of the week, and then be like, all right, I'm going to do a big cookie run, and then ignore it again for 7 days, and then I'm going to do another big cookie run. And then like, it's great because I don't have to pay attention to it at all. But I think it does give you, like the presents do give you a little XP. And so it kind of is like a bounty, but not as much XP as a bounty. I do miss those a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't looked into the repeatables that Eva does now. Because like still like power leveling at this early in the season, like dawning is a secondary thing that's like, all right, I'm gonna go deliver cookies on Sunday night or something like that, and just do as I'm watching YouTube videos. It's kind of what the dawning is for me. For a dawning change, we never really had a dawning like activity. It's always they just put some snowballs places, right? It's like the most they've ever done. So with that, I don't ever expect them to put something out for free content unless like this season was supposed to be like they like delayed Lightfall and there's like, okay, well here's like a free activity during dawning. That's the only time I think they should ever like give out free activities.
So the not to take us off course here, but the new light ball comes out like the 28th of December or February rather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this season, are we also getting like the Halloween, or not the Halloween, the Valentine's Day event, the one that
No, they
it
discontinued
used
that.
to have?
Yeah, they
It used to have
discontinued
like
that a
Crimson
while ago.
Doubles.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I wish they'd bring that
these
back.
years are
Maybe
blending
that's one of
together
the
for you.
maybe that's one of the secret stuffs that's coming right around the corner that they mentioned in the TWAB. I don't know if you guys. I'm sure that if you're listening to a podcast about Destiny, then you've definitely read the TWAB. So we're not gonna harp on it. But when it comes to the secret stuff, there was. They basically came out and said, what's it been, a month ago, like, hey, we're not really going to have like secret missions anymore. Don't expect that much effort into a secret, more or less. And now they're kind of taking a few steps back on that. Robbie Stevens comes out and says, we wanted to take a moment to address the community's feedback about secrets in Destiny 2. But before we get started, if you take one thing away from this communication, let it be that the people working on Destiny 2 believe that secrets are an important part of this franchise, and we are dedicated to delivering secret experiences, both small and large, throughout the coming year. So then there was a Reddit AMA that was done a month, 6 weeks ago. They talked about how difficult it is to encrypt content to where it can't be data mined. And then, most of us read that and thought, well, that's every single game that exists in the landscape currently. So then it kind of turns into the next 2 or 3 paragraphs are expectations being too high. So as the great American philosopher Jalen Rose has taught us, happiness is a function of expectations. So if your expectations are high, you're probably not ever going to be happy when it comes to the secrets that we're more than likely going to be getting in Destiny in the future. They say that we will never openly reveal a secret mission or puzzle before it goes live, and that although we are intentionally hiding things for you to discover in every release, not every secret can be something as big as a mission or puzzle. So we could go on and on. They talk about how the Throne World had a lot of secrets, which I don't necessarily agree with. To me, it seemed like the JV version of the Dreadnought. So, but to each their own. If that's how they feel, they're the ones making the game. I'm just the one playing the game. So they wrap it up saying some secrets will be small, some will be large, some will come next year, and some are right around the corner. But I promise you that we've got a talented group of people who love this type of content and who know what it means for the community to discover and experience it.
Yeah, so it's kind of disappointing that like Whisper 0 Hour is probably not going to ever happen again. But I think
they even left the Presage in there too, which I didn't think it was even 0 Hour or Whisper. I thought like I thought like 0 Hour was the top. Whisper was right below it. People will mention Whisper first because it was the first one that brought people back in the Warmind DLC. But 0 Hour was a much improved version of the Whisper mission. And then I thought the Presage was clearly a tier below those. So we're not even going to get something like that at this point. I did notice they did not mention like the Hawk Moon mission. They did not lump that one in there with what was that mission called? Does anybody remember?
Oh my goodness.
We all just called it a Hawk Moon mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever it was called, it wasn't even lumped in with the other secrets on here.
So what we got going on now is Vox Obscura from the first season. So it's like a seasonal mission that they're kind of taking the place of this secret. Instead of making a secret mission, they're making like a seasonal something for. That's how
we're getting one this season too on the 20th.
Yeah.
We're getting the one to get the new pulse, right? The exotic pulse that you can craft or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's an exotic, but we're getting
what's it called? Like new world line or something, or revised world line, or
Revision 0, I think.
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, it's a play on World Line 0, right? Wasn't that
Yeah,
like
yeah. Because World Line
Yeah.
0 was the Warmind one,
exactly?
and then like Outbreak Perfected. So it's like Revision 0. So it's like hey, this is our new mix on this thing. So we're getting one of those. But thing is, like, I never thought of Presage or the Hunk Moon mission or the grenade launch Vox Obscura as a secret mission. I just think of those as exotic missions.
Yeah.
Even though 0 Hour and Whisper were the same, they were just missions for exotics. But those were secrets. Like those were legit. Like you had to do something in particular to actually unlock it or to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt like a secret in itself. Presage was neat because it just popped up. And like we knew it was coming up, but we didn't know exactly what it was. And it was nifty because it was horror-ish. So that's why I remember it the most. Like the Hunk Moon one was good too, but Presage was good for solo practice, for like practicing solo runs. But like, 0 Hour and Whisper were the only two secret missions that I would ever would call that secret missions. And not because of the timer on it, just because it was a secret. Like I remember when someone like was like, "Hey man, there's this thing on IO." I was at work that morning. I'm like, "What is it?" And oh man, I don't remember work at all, but I remember that day was great.
Yeah, for sure. I was the same way. I had kind of fallen off a little, taking a break, but that actually brought me back into playing the game. And because we had like Destiny 2 came out, it was pretty flat. Curse of Osiris came out, and you could pretty well crank through that pretty quick. Warmind came out, and it had like, they didn't release everything up front on it. They kind of like drip fed it to you. So I'd fallen off on that too because I had done all the major stuff, and then that happened, and kind of came back, and then Forsaken dropped, and it was history at that point. And Jared finally started playing.
Yeah. So speaking of secrets, Bungie is keeping it a little bit of a secret of what they're doing at Iron Banner coming up starting January 3rd. And that is having a new mode called Fortress. And you're going to be capturing zones and hold the zone while defeating opponents with a twist. And that twist involves Keitel and her troops getting involved. Basically, Bungie just says be ready to run up that hill. So, a lot of us that play Destiny, or at one time in our lives, were Halo fans, and everybody remembers King of the Hill. It kind of gets you that vibes, but it's going to be a little bit of a PvE element. Looks like if you look at the screenshot, they got the Cabal turrets and some kind of Cabal captain standing behind them, holding a zone.
So, I've tried to think of what this could be, and so clearly "Run Up That Hill" is a play on that 80s song, right? That Stranger Things made popular, "Running Up That Hill." And it also is a wink and a nod at King of the Hill. But what I'm afraid all this is, and I hope I'm wrong, it's probably like Crazy King of the Hill, to where like once the team has control for X amount of time, Cabal forces drop down, and once the Cabal forces are killed, the hill moves somewhere else. So so you can either, like, if you don't have control of the hill and say they have it like they're like just potted up in there and you can't do nothing, you're able to kill the Cabal to get the hill to move, and then maybe do that. That would be my guess as to probably what this is.
I'm really looking at Banner Shield Titans and Well Locks to be really, really great in this mode.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to get some kind of hilly mode. I'm hoping it's a fun PvE capture the fire King of the Hill kind of combo. Getting random PvE enemies in a Crucible match is going to be interesting. It feels like a very Gambit bleeding kind of thing, but I ain't mad at it.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
looks like it should be a good change and a fun week. And remember, you only get it twice per season, so it's January 3rd week, and then I think we have a little other time, but we'll make sure to tell you when it happens.
We'll get it again when they push the DLC back.
Okay, you can die upon that hill.
I'm gonna run up that hill, dog.
All right, next up, so Game to Give is going on still. If you want to go out and do that, they're appreciating the money that you're given, and you, of course, we went over, but you can get rewards and emblems for your donation. Synthweave, the ornament for Arbalist, has won. It is the purple, more lightfall looking Arbalist ornament, the one that Fox liked the best. Me and Chad both chose Black Armory, but we don't know how much vote it got. So it's got 55%, so there won't be no runoff. There won't be another vote again. So it's a good ornament for the most part, right?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
I think what usually they're like 700 silver, I think, for an exotic ornament. This one looks pretty cool. I'll look at the reticle whenever somebody buys it in a YouTube video, because I love the red dot on Arbalist that I currently have. So if it has something good like that, then I'll probably be a buy for me. All right, that is it for the TWAB this week.
What does that take us to? The next TWAB's January 12th.
Yep.
I'm not saying that taking a month off from TWABs is a little much, but some people are saying that. I'm not the one saying it, but some people are saying, wow, DMG steps down and we don't get a TWAB for a month. Like I said, I'm not the one saying it. It's just some people are saying it.
Yeah.
So that takes us to 3 likes and dislikes.
Mm-hmm.
My like is I did finally beat God of War, not the new one, the one from 2018, the one that's available on Steam. And that 30 to 40 hours away from Destiny, playing something else, has kind of got me back, got my Destiny wheels back on. So I've been enjoying my time with Destiny much more this season than previous seasons.
My like is going to be like the other, like I think it was Tuesday night, like we was trying to get like a people together for a raid, and like people was traveling out doing stuff. There's a lot of people on. We're like, cool, we have a new dungeon to jump into. So I just like having a new 3-man activity to jump into. That's for me, and I think that's kind of that fire team set of 3. That Bungie was like pretty spot on early on in Destiny, like doing Nightfalls back in Destiny 1. It's just like that amount of content, with that amount of enemies, and just a little bit of difficulty with a mechanic. After you do the dungeon a few times, the mechanic is not difficult, but it's just 3-man activities are fun, and I'm glad we got a new one.
Yeah, it's definitely it's always. I mean, Jared and I are the dungeon boys. We love them. My like for this week is that the Bray family is finally starting to show up. Elsie popped up this week, and she gave Anna a stern talking to and told the old guy to shut it. And I was very happy about it. I was sitting there. I mean, I was behind her the whole time, but I was listening. And it was good to hear him just yelling in the helm and just arguing. And then you get a radio broadcast at the end of the seasonal story too that gives you a little bit more insight. And that radio broadcast is, it's really good. So that one it hits you in the tinglies too a little bit. So I'm very happy with the lore stuff that they're hitting this fast. I feel like the lore team got a good break. They took a nap last season, and they're starting to show up a little bit now. So I'm happy about it.
I have 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
Before you get to your dislike, when you said you were behind Elsie, was that literally or figuratively?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, is there anything that reminds you of Christmas more than families arguing with each other, right?
No.
Get the family together.
It puts you in the Christmas feelings right there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, can I still get my extra plate of food? I need seconds, man. I don't care if you guys are arguing. All right, so my dislike is that we still haven't heard Rasputin's sweet Russian voice, and I need it in my life. I want to hear it. I want it to happen. I want it to come in through my headphones and vibrate everything. I love it. That's that at the end of Warmind, when he wakes up and is talking. Ooh, I want to hear that again, real bad, and it hasn't happened.
My dislike. We'll let Jared go last because he'll lead off the next segment here. My personal dislike is that we kind of touched upon it already, but with it being the holiday season, everybody's a little busier, which kind of sucks at the start of a season. Trying to get like your raids and all that stuff in.
Yeah, so I'm trying not to be too negative at the start of the season, but I'm starting to feel, why am I doing this already in the Destiny season? Like, I want a power grind because I know Grandmasters will come along and we have to, finish that, Guild the Conqueror title. But like, I kind of like, well, I haven't even touched the Warlock this season, and I feel like it's going to be a while till I get to start working on a third character at all. And like, it's really hard just to juggle two with the time playing and the amount of want to play. Because I'd rather this month, I'd rather just like sit on the couch and watch holiday movies and just not play at the moment than play Destiny. All right, that leads us to weapons breakdown. So, early in the season, we have lots of weapon breakdowns going on. And usually the second week, per tradition, we break down these seasonal weapons. These seasonal weapons are a little bit different this time around because they have two origin traits. Every one of them has Ambush, which improves range, handling, and damage against combatants during the opening of an engagement. I haven't tested this one too much, but it sounds like, if you're just like out of combat for a while and then you start back up, it should engage again. I haven't really tested that. I haven't seen any videos on it, but it sounds okay. I had it on when we was like doing a raid. I think I was had a red border working on the bow, which is tripwire. We'll talk about it in a second. And it didn't last very long, so I think some of the secondary traits were probably better than it. So the first weapon here is Disparity, a stasis 4 burst pulse rifle, and it also has the Hake trait. So it does extra damage against stasis crystals and barricades and stuff like that. PvE, I'm looking at Arrowhead Break, Flared Magwell, Rapid Hit, Headstone, or Kill Clip. So, we started off this podcast talking about a stasis pulse rifle that's for free with the Dawning. So if you didn't purchase this season, I would say that you can just get Stay Frosty with Headstone, and you're going to fill the role of this unless you really love 4 burst pulse rifles and PvE. PvP, again, Arrowhead Break. And the reason I'm choosing Arrowhead Break is the recoil direction. So out of the box, this gun has a recoil direction of 67, so that's decent at that point. I'm not putting on counterbalance to go to 82, but Arrowhead Break makes me go to 97, so that's why it's very, very vertical at that point, and it's going to feel good. So continuing on with PvP, I'm looking at Acrai's rounds, then Eye of the Storm with the Kill Clip or Desperado. Personally, I just want to go with the simple Kill Clip, get a kill, I get 25% extra damage to move it on, and don't have to worry about getting a headshot with that last burst hitting the headshot. So with the pulse rifle, that first burst might hit the chest and not the head. Next weapon, Tripwire Canary, and that's an arc lightweight bow with Vice Stinger trait. PvE polymer string compact arrow shaft with Dragonfly and Frenzy. This is one of those more newer combinations where Bungie's putting Dragonfly in the third column now, and I think Frenzy is just overall great on bows. PvP elastic string with fletching, and then Ultra's tempo with successful warm up. But I don't think this is the PvP bow for most people. I think this it's lacking in a couple things there.
I do think this bow has a pretty cool design. How it has like the red tripwire, like at the kind of above, where the arrow notches in or whatever on the bow. I did kind of like the design. Haven't fired anything out of it, but I got one. It had a bad roll, so I infused it.
Yeah, I guess before we move on, I think we should say that the design of those seasonal weapons with like the red laser and the what color would you call this, Chad? That's this dark, like blackish blue. That's kind of like it's like a hazy. Anyway, it's just like it looks cool, right? It's just like these weapons look cool. They've done a good job in designing these weapons. All right, next up is a glaive, and I guess kind of what makes this glaive different. It is an aggressive frame glaive, so it hits a little bit harder, and generates the same kind of energy whenever you hit it with a projectile. So what is it bringing to the table? It's a little bit different. Well, it's solar, and with solar, like incandescent, and this one has that in the fourth column, and then I want demo in the third column. Just make it simple. And then just pick whatever you want in that first two columns, whatever fits your gameplay. I am probably, if I'm going to choose a weapon to unlock last, like as a weapon frame, it's the glaive is going to be last. I'm really choosing all other weapons that we're talking about.
Next is the Arc Trace Rifle, Path of Least Resistance. It's an Amalon weapon. Adaptive munitions and bolt shot are definitely what to chase. Bolt shot is pretty fun to work with. Adaptive munitions, obviously, in case your shield, if it's not an arc shield, it's going to help you out with that. I do like this. I do not have this roll, but I have adaptive munitions and maybe overflow or something else, or it might be one for all.
Yeah,
adaptive munitions or something on it. That's it's pretty decent. It kind of rolls through stuff. Once again, realistically, this is a gun that you keep on you for the sole reason if you get a trace rifle bounty or an arc bounty or something, you can just kind of burn through that.
All right, Fire and Forget. It's a aggressive frame, linear fusion. So that means it gets the 3-round burst, just like, is it Storm Chaser from Duality?
Yeah.
So best thing about Storm Chaser is like auto-loading holster, and then either Vorpal or Frenzy or a damage-dealing perk in that last column. However, we don't have auto-loading holster with this one, so we're going to have to do a little bit of difference going on there. So I'm basically looking for Corkscrew with enhanced battery, so that beats that magazine up to 6, and then fill prep or surplus with chill clip in that last column to use this weapon for something else. So fill prep and then enhanced fill prep also gives you additional reserves, so it just gives you even more ammo to put out. In that last column, there's other options besides chill clip. Chill clip just makes it unique. There's this typical Vorpal, high impact reserves, and focus fury. I think this is probably the number one weapon coming out of the season, unless they're probably going to nerf linear fusions, but until then, this is probably the best.
Yeah, I would say that would probably be the first one to focus as far as trying to get your red borders.
Mm-hmm. It also has Vice as its trait, so it can get the automatic reload.
Right. Which is really nice on what is that, Taipan 4FR? That also is that, which is the Void linear. But this is probably the one, and they made it, to give Bungie credit, because if I'm going to call them out, like I do, I have to give him credit as well. The red border grind seems to be much more manageable this season compared to others, based upon how you spend your exo frames that you get. So looks like you can get 3 a week pretty easily. Kind of I was looking at.
All right, our last weapon is Retrofit Espionade and Void Rapid Fire Frame Machine Gun with also has the option of Sur Synergy as the trait. So what I'm looking here is Arrowhead Break. So that's going to take your recoil direction up to 85. It's going to feel pretty good. And then Tac Mag with 4 times the charm and Target Lock. So Target Lock is a new perk this season. So damage increases the longer the weapon remains on a target. I don't think... Yeah, they did not say damage numbers for this yet. I've been using it on an SMG. I do like it, but I feel like I would like to know when it procs a little bit better than what Bungie's putting on my screen at the moment. But anyways, that's what I'm looking for in this machine gun. Last column, Frenzies is in column 4. Rampage, column 4. Golden Tricorn. And 4-4-1 for all. So, that's 7. So 7 of the 6 are damage dealing perks in column 4, with also Tap the Trigger being one of them. So if you wanted to go PvP, Tap the Trigger is like the main one to choose in that last column. You can just deal with the rest of the wall at that point. That's it for Weapons Breakdown. That takes us to Gambling Corner. And Fox, what did we do last week?
So I have 4 clears. So what we did a day 1 clear. The dungeon came out last Friday. We all got on. We streamed our dungeon run, and the name of the new dungeon is what is it? Spire of the Watcher.
Yeah,
Spire of the Watcher, and our Gambling Corner was going to be. I believe it was 2,000 to ante in, and it was the closest guess to what our blind first run would be. Jared had guessed 1 hour and 53 minutes. I had guessed 2 hours 37 minutes. Chad had guessed 3 hours and 30 minutes. I just pulled up our day 1 run, and we were at 1 hour and 42 minutes. So basically, Jared was the closest. It did not matter if we went over. So that brings our current Glimmer count. We start at 10K every season. So that brings that takes Jared up to 14, and myself and Chad down to 8. And we do still have an outstanding Gambling Corner that's been an entire season. Which of us will be the first to get Touch of Malice? And this is also a 2,000 Glimmer ante. So if this is kind of the first season that you've been with us, or you're kind of new to the show, if at any point one of us run out of money, we have to sacrifice a weapon, and the other 2 co-hosts will decide on a scale of 1,000 Glimmer to 10,000 Glimmer, if we delete that weapon, what it is worth. So that's only happened 1 or 2 times, I want to say, so far.
I think it was the only
but
one.
Yeah, so usually I run away with this, but last season I did not. Last season I was in dead last, and I was flirting with running out of Glimmer. So, but that takes us to the end of Gambling Corner, and I believe next is Lore, correct?
Yeah.
Sure, if you'd like it to be. Like I said last week, I'm gonna give some background to the major players of this season. The 2 main ones being Rasputin and Clovis. They're the 2 people that haven't been around really in the seasonal lore for a long time. Rasputin hasn't been around since season of the Worthy, so that was a whole 1.5 years ago. 2 years ago. Yeah, it's been a long time. So I'm going to talk about him today, and then we'll get to Clovis next week. But first to start is, what is a war mind? Now, in Destiny 1, we didn't have a lot of information. There is a little bit of lore, but a war mind essentially in this universe is a extremely, extremely smart AI that can calculate just tons of things faster than any supercomputer that they made during the Golden Age. And it has a warsat network that it can use to peer onto everything in the solar system. So it's basically a human defense AI that could look at every single planetary celestial body within our solar system. So it was massively powerful, and it could view everything happening at once in the solar system and make calculations and predictions and do all kinds of things in defense of humanity. That was how it was phrased initially and what it is. And in Season of the Worthy, we get the origin of it. So I'll start off with just using that as an intro to what a war mind is. But in Season of the Worthy, at the end of the Tyrant storyline, which is the one where you get Felwinter's Lie, so you find out where Felwinter was actually quote unquote birthed by Rasputin. She actually says this. She says, "This looks like the casing of an old safety AI, but marked with Rasputin's symbol. These transcripts suggest his original code was for a sort of emergency response system from pre-Golden Age space stations, checking oxygen levels, fuel, that kind of thing. Clovis Bray took a safety AI and turned it into an interplanetary defense system with sentience." So that orb in the back of that room, if you played during Season of the Worthy, it was behind where you got Felwinter's Lie. It was just a big ball back there plugged in. That was Rasputin's first form, as just a little AI that makes sure that things that were happening in space were safe. And by space, I mean the things around it. Like, it just makes sure oxygen, fuel, that kind of thing, so the astronauts were safe. That's all it was. But he took the coding for it, and then him and his team at Clovis Bray, because he named things after himself, the Clovis Bray Futurescape, made Rasputin. Now in D1 there was lore about Rasputin, and it's always interesting to see things as history. People are like, oh no, like this doesn't make sense with the with the lore, like war minds. It always says war mind. They call Charlemagne a war mind. It's like, yeah, but as you learn, knowledge changes the past stuff that you thought you had learned correctly. So this is from D1, and it says war minds plural, even though Rasputin now that we know, literally in this season, we know Rasputin is the only one. So in the dark below, it says, the legendary war minds stood watch over our Golden Age colonies. Vigilant intelligences stretched across thousands of war sats and hardened installations. When the collapse struck, the great war minds fought and died. Rasputin fell with them, or so history believed. But centuries of explorers' tales spoke of surviving elusive war mind, a myth substantiated when guardians exploring the old cosmodrome made positive contact with Rasputin. A single war mind still lives, diminished but unbroken. Threatened by a convergence of fallen and high forces, Rasputin exploited the reactivation of the cosmodrome's terrestrial space array to extend itself across the inner solar system. The Guardian Vanguard hoped that Rasputin might make a powerful ally, capable of mapping and reviving Golden Age military assets and recruiting them for city defense. But Rasputin has proven recalcitrant and high-handed, unresponsive to the city's outreach. Now, that shows that the Vanguard in the city initially thought that they could view it positively. Obviously, when I get into talking into D2 Year 1 expansion to Warmind, Zavala on the opening area did not view Rasputin like very highly at all. He viewed him as an enemy of sorts, as a weapon that will turn upon its master without any problem. So he was very, very wary of Rasputin going into Season of the Worthy. But initially, we, as the Guardians, reactivated Rasputin through a big space array in the Cosmodrome, in the dark below. So we started it off. I think we heard some good old music, followed it, and then we reactivated a satellite and a big dish that sent out his signal so he could start reconnecting to things. So that was the very beginning of that. Now, Anna Bray was someone that was obviously active this whole time. She's been active a long time as a Guardian. And her background was that she died during an attack, was rezzed as a Guardian, but she had her identification as Dr. Anastasia Bray on her person. And it's kind of like a forbidden taboo thing for Guardians to look into their past. But since she had that, and being that she was still the building blocks of Anastasia Bray, was like, no, I don't like that rule. I'm going to find out who I am. This is my name. And chose, instead of being called Guardian, chose to become Anna Bray in her new life, and then figure out what her past life had done and what her past life had accomplished. And in her search for that, going into Destiny 2, we meet her in the Warmind expansion, and we find out that she is Anna Bray, or her past life was Anna Bray, who's obviously related to Clovis Bray. I think it was granddaughter. And she still didn't know a lot about herself. She was still searching, but this is the first Clovis Bray facility that was actually fairly active, that helped her figure things out. Now, when you're going into the Clovis Bray Futurescape facility on Mars for the first time, there is a concierge AI who is basically a tour guide, an AI tour guide. And there's a couple of scannables that you can get that he talks about all kinds of things. Now, the first one he talks about is the engineers of Clovis Bray conceived a solution during the development of our Warmind project. By relegating ethical decision-making to a black box morality system, the Warmind instruments its own proprietary virtue quantifiers incomprehensible to even its own creators. Rasputin determines morality on its own terms, and by design, we are blind to that process in order to preserve its objectivity. The Warmind is a crowning achievement in human engineering, utilizing the latest technologies in quantum and engramic computing to create a neural network of unprecedented processing power. Artificial neural networks are probabilistic systems that rely on a method of error calculation known as backpropagation. They are good at pattern recognition, but must be fed correct outputs to be properly calibrated. So that's their initial creation of the Warmind. Like they said, they're using it as to create an AI that can actually make its own ethical decisions and moral decisions on its own without any input from humanity, so it can make its own decisions, which is, as an AI, defending humanity is a really big gray area in sci-fi. It's not a thing that people ever trust. Now they talk about the Warsat system spread across. So it says the Warsats link the Warmind designated Rasputin with each other, forming an integrated defense and comms system. Each satellite is equipped with state-of-the-art kinetic superconductor that shields it from Kessler debris and has an orbital life spanning hundreds of years. No matter what threats lie in store for us, rest assured that Rasputin and the Clovis Bray Warsats will never cease their vigilant watch over humanity. Now we learned in D1, one of the first public events is Warsat drops. It's one of the first things that you do. So they're obviously failing now. It's been a little while. But going into Warmind, we start to set off our own stuff. And once he gets reactivated, he sends out his own Warsats again to remake that system. So he spends from Warmind on working on it. Now, throughout Warmind, you can actually find transcripts of Anastasia Bray's. And she talks about teaching Rasputin. So it's first one. You can lead a machine to language, but you can't make it think. Well, you can't, but I can. My name is Anna Bray. If you want to insult me, call me a neuro-linguist. Not that it's It isn't a fine and noble profession, but neurolinguist is about encoding language. I'm a psycholinguist. I study how language can lead to independent thought. The computer we call Rasputin is the nexus of Sol Systems Defense Network. It can process data at superluminal speed. It can uplink to thousands of war mines that keep humanity safe, or warsats. But we need more from it. We need it to think for itself, and that's where I come in. If Rasputin is to properly command our entire defense network, it has to learn a wide array of skills as it performs. Any wrench banger can build a machine designed to solve specific problems. But why conquer a task if there's no insight to be had from the victory? Rasputin has to solve problems currently solvable only by humans. It has to form concepts and self-improve without supervision. To keep us safe, it will have to make decisions based on random intel that we can't possibly anticipate. The lives and safety of every sentient being in the system depends on me teaching it how to do this. So no pressure. At their core, computers are responsive only to precise instructions from their programmers. Rasputin's designers made a mistake that exasperates me. They brought in linguists and neurobiologists that tried to convert their expertise into rules for Rasputin to follow. Way to faceplant, people. No set of concrete data can ever wrangle a human language. It's not math. Language is mutable, adaptable. For every rule obeyed, there's a rule broken. Babies don't learn their native tongue through rules. They learn it through exposure, absorption. And until I roll up my sleeves and get to work, Rasputin is mankind's most expensive baby. So far, so good. If you set your goals realistically. Forget Rasputin for a moment. That's something I'm just not good at. If you look at me with the tiniest shred of approval, I'll kill myself to please you. I have some issues, so I'm going to make Rasputin a breakthrough construct. I fed him, should be it, but I don't care. I fed him digitized copies of every major work of literature as a foundation for language use. I've now given Rasputin the great works of philosophy in hopes that he'll develop some sense of morality. Military history, he's been fed by the truckload, but then I started in with operas and symphonies. I don't want him to just think about things. Humans don't communicate strictly through data. We also communicate through art, through expression. If Rasputin is to be the most effective communications device in the Sol system, I want him to feel things. The best ideas start as jokes. Ask any psychologist. Jokes and ideas both rely on the unexpected. The brilliance of both can be measured by the intensity of the reaction they provoke. With that in mind, I've fed Rasputin comedies from Shakespeare right up to present day. This morning I asked him to tell me a joke. Here it is. Ready? 2 quantum entangled particles walk into a neutron star. One said, "Can you point me to the soap radio?" This is clearly a work in progress. I'm making significant progress with Rasputin as regards to the concept of value judgments. Obviously, that's something artificial intelligence isn't set up to tackle, but we need Rasputin to be able to make that leap. Here's a hypothetical. Say Rasputin has to redirect a malfunctioning warsat, and there are only 2 paths for it to take. One will breach the hull of a 1-seat planet jumper, instantly killing its pilot. The other path will disable a Venusian pleasure craft, leaving its inhabitants alive, but certain to die of starvation before they can be found out. To my surprise, when given the problem, Rasputin actually rendered a verdict. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want you to enjoy your next Venusian pleasure craft trip. Rasputin continues to develop by leaps and bounds. In a trial simulation, he succeeded interpreting the meaning of corrupted, borderline, incomprehensible data from a damaged warsat. This is exactly the sort of function we need him to fill, but that wasn't the amazing part. The mind blower was that without proof, evidence, or conscious reasoning, Rasputin sensed which warsat was in trouble. You heard me. Rasputin has developed intuition. How does human intelligence actually work? What by biological definition is thinking? I define it as combining existing information to form new meaning. Thinking is the ability to create, to work beyond the boundaries of what you already know, to envision something completely new and unexpected. About an hour ago, I noticed my screensaver had been replaced. It now shows a breathtaking painting of a sunset over the Ericsson crater on Mars, a gift from Rasputin. I think he's ready to go online. I guess I saw it coming, but it's still a blow. I arrived in the lab this afternoon to discover that Rasputin had discarded my communication protocols. He replaced them with a system-wide program that he designed himself. His voice is unlike anything that has ever existed. It's both haunting and lovely. It is also terrifyingly efficient. He's also begun upgrading war stats with new capabilities of his own invention. And I'm not entirely sure what those abilities are. It's exactly the goal we're striving towards, this level of autonomous control, and I know I should be celebrating. My work here is done, but it occurs to me that there's one existential concept I never taught Rasputin: trust. And even if he trusts us, are we 100% certain we can trust him? Now, that's the last information we got from Anna about Rasputin, but that's the it's obviously it's talked about because Clovis this season especially is making fun of how Anna wasted her time making him feel, and that's why she's so connected to him, because she feels like he has emotions and he's a robot. But he is obviously an AI beyond AI. He has true sentience in that she gave him all these artistic expressions that humanity had, and he interpreted them like a human. He gave himself intuition. He learned how to extrapolate from incomplete data, unlike any computer can do. And he actually is making all these choices without someone telling him to do it. Now, in Season of the Worthy, we don't get any more background information on him. We basically help him finish the Warsat network in space by creating millions of Warsats through a public event that everybody doesn't like to remember. But we get lore into Fellwinter, which I can talk about a little bit later. Obviously, he's his own whole other thing. But what Fellwinter teaches us is that Rasputin can make an exo. He has successfully made an exo. He made Fellwinter in order to extrapolate more data by Fellwinter interacting with with human beings. He had a connection with Fellwinter and used that in order to have a being out there talking to people, interacting, and learning for himself, because he didn't have Anna anymore and he needed to do it somehow. So we know that there are two exos that were created that weren't Clovis created, and that is Ada-1 and Fellwinter. So those are the only two exos that we know. So we obviously, there's lots of proof that Rasputin can be put into an exo body. We know that it is a possibility. Ada-1 is also a being that is created without the help of Clovis Bray. So we know that it is possible that we don't really need him. But him being around this season is definitely something that is just there to, I think, salvage as much of Rasputin as possible, because in this timeline, Anna has an engram with probably the most amount of Rasputin in it that has ever existed in a timeline. I know Elsie hasn't said it yet, but I think this timeline has the highest success rate for creating a Rasputin exo that is actually fully Rasputin.
Okay. That sounds good, though. So, like, our timeline is the chosen one.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, it has the biggest.
Out of all the timelines, how many do we succeed?
Uno.
One. Yeah, it's in game all over. So I believe that takes us to the mailbag. First question: where does Spire of the Watcher rank in your dungeon ranks as a podcast? For me, it's definitely in the top half, probably in the top quarter. But I know we kind of came up with a list last week. So based upon that list, do you guys say like first, second, third? What are you thinking?
Just for a reminder, so we had Prophecy 1, Shadow Throne 2, Duality 3, Pit of Heresy 4, and Grasp of Avarice 5.
Personally, I would say 2 or 3. I think Prophecy is still probably number 1. And then this and Shattered Throne, you could ask me on a different day, and I could probably tell you a different answer. So I'm kind of right in that area.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh man, do you have an answer?
Yeah, for me, yes. Based on our podcast list, I would put it at 3 because it's not launching really buggy. The thing at Duality hurt it so much is because it launched so buggy.
Yeah.
And dying at bells.
Hmm. Like I really like duality. The mechanic that they put in it is very interesting. And the funny thing is the mechanic works better in that than the prophecy one does because the whole shadows thing is it feels like it's subjective sometimes. But I still like prophecy better. Um, and I do like duality because the story is so deep in it. I am a lore junkie, so that's obviously going to make me very biased towards it. But yeah, it was very buggy. That's partly why I put it down on the list. The Keitel fight, you can sometimes just die, and it's ridiculous the amount of things that can go wrong there. Um, but I think I would definitely put Spire above it. Um, it is a really good intro dungeon because it's short. It has a mechanic that it teaches you in the very beginning that's really simple to get, and it's easy to teach somebody. To be like, hey, you look for the thing that has arrows next to it that tells you where this fuse starts, and then you just follow the line, and you just shoot and stay alive, and that's it. Those are your mechanics. There you go. You're done. Um, and so I think I would definitely even with my disdain for Shattered Throne, with our total group ranking, I would definitely put it right below Throne, above Duality.
All right. I think that we're all pretty well in agreement there. Next question. This came from Dark Ace. He sent it in the Discord. Is there too much stuff to do each week? I assume he's talking about like getting your pinnacles done on 3 characters. I've felt this way for like 2 or 3 seasons, so I kind of just do 2 characters, and then the third one I play at the end of the season to get up. This season, I'll definitely make sure that I have all 3 characters at pinnacle cap and full on bounties and things. That way, when the new expansion drops, I'm starting with a leg up and everything. Which really, with the most recent expansion, Witch Queen, you didn't really have to do because they gave you so much time and leveling wasn't uh, quite the grind that it was previously. So, but I do agree that it seems like everything's a little scattered at the start of the season, but at the end of the season, once you've reached your pinnacle cap, there's really nothing to do that's worthwhile, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I think I can definitely agree with Ryan on that one. I have a couple of friends, and this is kind of playing off of what Jared said earlier about his warlock. I have a couple homies that main 2 different ones, which is they either main like a hunter and a titan or a warlock and a titan, and they leave their third character alone. And then near the end of the season, when GMs are around, they can power level their third character insanely quickly because all their weapons are pinnacle capped. So that third character only takes like 2 weeks if they do it right, 2 or 3 weeks. So instead of grinding it out, feeling like you grinded it out, because the power level jumps on their armor so fast, they feel like they're actually making good progress. So if you need to ignore 2 of your characters, even because as long as you get the 80 weapons on one, the grind will be a little bit slower doing 1 character a week, but 4 or 5 weeks in, getting your other 2 characters up to level will be a lot easier, and you can just focus on 1 character at a time. If you feel like there's too much to do, then just do 1 character, and your other characters will catch up very quickly because of that kind of mechanic there. Now someone that does all 3, yeah, the leveling system in this game with trying to main 3 characters is awful, and we've all complained about it at length at this point. But yeah.
Yeah, so the major thing each week is it's a story. You want to be up to date on the story. You want to be like around whenever they launch the zero exotic and stuff like that. You just want to be able to be up to date for that. I think that's priority 1. And everything else like power leveling, like you eventually get there. Don't stress too much about it early on in the season.
All right. Question 3, is Bungie talking out of both sides of their mouth in regards to secrets? In my opinion, very simply, yes.
No, I just think They're not doing secrets anymore.
I think if anything, it's going to be just like Telesto style stuff, where it's not really a secret that leads to anything. It's just like a little thing they do for fun. I think Whisper and Outbreak missions are completely gone. They definitely heard that we want them, but until they make a team specifically for just those missions, which I doubt they would do, we're not going to get them back. But they still might do the small things, like the Telesto thing, like I said.
All the small things. Question 4. How much money would you have to make in salary in order to be the lead community manager for Bungie / Destiny 2? I assume this is probably in regards to DMG stepping down. So living on the West Coast and the Washington State / what is it? Are they in Redmond? Is that where Bungie is? No, that's where Microsoft is.
I know they're in Seattle.
They're in, we'll say Washington State. We'll say the greater Seattle area. So with that, I don't know how much it costs to live in Seattle, but it'd have to be what, like
Washington has the additional tax on alcohol.
So probably what, 150 to 200,000 to put up with these dummies that play this game.
Yeah, you kind of have to like have your eye on what's going on in the game at all times. It's not like you clock in at 9 and you get off at 5 type deal. It's it's around the clock. Yeah, you about on the money there. If I got to work from home and I didn't have to go all the way to Washington, just like match my salary.
No, you would have to move.
Tomorrow.
You'd have to be. Yeah, I agree with you there, but you would definitely have to move because you'd have to be in office in order to build those relationships, in order to be able to, hey, I need you to give me 500 words in the TWAB this week in regards to sandbox changes. Those favors are going to be a lot easier to get if you're on site, I would imagine.
Yeah. I definitely it's for me to answer that question first, I'm going to have to look at the tax brackets set up there in Seattle, see home valuations in that area, see what they look like. And then once I see all that and figure that out, I'm looking at probably around 6 digits. And then I can move out there. I have nothing tying me to any particular city, so I'd be more than happy to move, but I want to see what tax brackets look like, what buying a home looks like, and then I'll make a decision after that.
All right, last question. Once you wrap up Grandmaster, Nightfalls, and Master Raids, what's your plans in order to end the remainder of the season / until Lightfall releases? I would love to be able to power level high enough to where I can finish Final Fantasy VII Remake this season while completing all my Destiny chores. That's kind of my goal for this season.
Purchase Tabletop Simulator, so I'm really hoping that at some point we get into that. And then also Switch Sports has golf now, so I'm going to eventually be getting back into that and just playing a little of that. So it's just like I'm looking at casual games that with very little investment before Lightfall.
I got you. I definitely still need to pretend. I still need to play Dares and pretend as if I'm gonna get that purple weapon, purple sword, even though I'm never gonna get it. Probably go back to playing some Pokemans. Since I finished the Pokedex, I can run into shiny guys a little bit better, easier. So I'll be doing that. Playing some probably some Tabletop Simulator with Jared. Maybe playing some Uno and some other stuff with the boys. And just really trying to chill. There's a certain point after GMs where I start stacking bounties because I'm like, I don't want to grind it all up in 1 week. I'm going to just slowly start to do 5 here, 5 there, and just start to stack them up. That way I don't have to worry about it next season, but I'm also, just we'll see how it goes. We'll see if Jared tells me any other materials I need to start stacking up on before Lightfall hits. Like, hey man, you
Thanks,
better
Jared.
you got to stack up on this. Okay, yes sir, you got it.
Get those strange keys, man. All right, so that brings us to the end of the episode. I do want to say this weekend, December 17th, starting at 10 a.m., running until 10 a.m. on December 18th, 24 hours. Our clan is participating in a Raiding Against Cancer live stream. This is the third year. Our goal is to raise close to $10,000 for the American Cancer Society. Last year, we were able to raise around 7,000 for this. So the first 2 hours, so from 10 to noon on the 17th, and then from 8 to 10 on the 18th, are the destiny blocks of this. So you might see some people you recognize or some people we talk about doing some raids, some trials, some dungeons, and then in between, I know they have a Rocket League Pro that has like, I think I looked today, he had 239 Twitch followers, 239,000 Twitch followers. He's like the 10th highest Rocket League streamer that there is. His name is Tenacity TV. He has a 3-hour block. There's a Dungeon and Dragons block. There's Minecraft. There is Fall Guys. Just all kinds of games filling up that 24 hours. So please join us on that. And it'll be our, I think Jared's going to be streaming from our Twitch, which is like twitch.tv/Conqueror's Corner. So do that. It'll find you. It'll get you linked up to the main one there. So please join us. Help us raise money for the American Cancer Society. With that, I'm gonna let these other two guys sign off.
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what I'll be doing for the charity stream. It's either going to be a part of a raid team or I'll be attempting to solo Spire of the Watcher. So I'm sure either way, it's going to be an interesting experience.
I won't be around, but I'll be a watcher, and I'll definitely be watching the Spire of the Watcher runs if he does that, because that'll give me a good time. But I'll be there in spirit. I'll make a donation, do all the fun stuff, and just be around to enjoy watching these fellas.
Go Cat.